video. My name is May Dola, and we are continuing reading the Mississippi Scheme from the book Memoirs of Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackay. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am reading books this summer that will help you and me become financially free. A little bit about myself. I live in Honolulu, Hawaii with my husband, Jamel, and our 7-year-old son, Jordan. We own 2 properties, this 2-bedroom condo and 1 Airbnb business down the street. But back in 2011, I had over $40,000 of credit card debts. And I was working a job at a local bank. I ended up quitting my job in 2016, improving our family's net worth by $500,000, making almost $500 a month in passive income, and paid off all the debt. So started coaching clients to do what I did. Now, after that, we bought 3 properties, one in 2017, one in 2018, one in 2019, sold one in 2019 to buy this one. So that's why we have 2. And that's kind of my story in a nutshell. I'm a full-time mother. Part-time, I coach clients, financial freedom techniques. I also invest and create financial freedom for our family and blog. So check out the blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com. If you're not already on my email list, go ahead and put in your first name, email address, hit the big red yes button, and you'll get on my email list. You'll get a free ebook, Working Parents Guide to Financial Freedom, sent directly to your inbox. And you'll get great emails about when I'm live, what I'll be talking about, all the replay links if you want to catch a replay, or just read the blog summary and not watch a video. All that information is all my emails. Okay, so check that out. Check out the blog. It's got tons of great information. Okay, so we're going to begin today. I'm going to continue reading. If you want to see what I read before, then you can just go back to the replays on my blog. All right, so here we go. We're on page 24, and the link to the book is in my blog. So you can actually go to my blog, to the blog post with this title, and you can get the link, click on it, read along if you like. So before today, we were talking about John Law. John Law, he actually was, what can I say, spent all his family's fortune, and then he became a professional gambler. He always wanted to start a land bank, which he did in France because he made friends with a guy who eventually became high up in the French government, royalty. And he started his land bank, became wealthy, and then he started this thing called Mississippi company, kind of a company to go and explore the Mississippi. Now, I don't think he meant it as a scheme. Doesn't look like it so far in the book, but we shall keep going. So basically, he announced that he's selling shares in a company which will go to America and get profits. Not only America, they added other countries in there. And they would come back and split the profits with all the shareholders, and they would pay dividends. And everybody wants a share, and it's like a mini stock market just for these shares. So that's what's going on. And people have done, yesterday, I read a part where it talked about all the crazy things people did to get shares. So here we go. For a time, while confidence lasted, an impetus was given to trade, which could not fail to be beneficial. In Paris, especially, the good results were felt. Strangers flocked into the capital from every part, bent not only upon making money, but on spending it. The Duchess of Orleans, mother of the regent, computes the increase of the population during this time. From the great influx of strangers from all parts of the world, excuse me, at 305,000 souls, the housekeepers were obliged to make up beds and garrets, kitchens, and even stables for the accommodation of lodgers, and the town was so full of carriages and vehicles of every description that they were obliged in the principal streets to drive at a foot pace for fear of accidents. The looms of the country worked with unusual activity to supply rich laces, silks, broadcloth, and velvets, which, being paid for in abundance paper, increased in price fourfold. Provisions shared the general advance. Bread, meat, and vegetables were sold at prices greater than had ever been known, while the wages of labor rose in exactly the same proportion. The artisan who formerly gained 15 sous per diem now gained 60. New houses were built in every direction, and illusory prosperity shone over the land, and so dazzled the eyes of the whole nation that none could see the dark cloud on the horizon announcing the storm that was too rapidly approaching. Law himself the magician whose wand had wrought so surprising a change, shared, of course, in general prosperity. His wife and daughter were courted by the highest nobility, and their alliance sought by the heirs of ducal and princely houses. He bought 2 splendid estates in different parts of France and entered into a negotiation with the family of the Duc de Sully for the purchase of the Marquisate of Rosny. His religion being an obstacle to his advancement, the regent promised, if he would publicly conform to the Catholic faith, to make him Comptroller General of the Finances. Law, who had no more real religion than any other professed gambler, readily agreed and was confirmed by the Abbé de Tencin in the Cathedral of Milan in the presence of a great crowd of spectators. On the following day, he was elected honorary churchwarden of the parish of Saint Roch, upon which occasion he made it a present of the sum of 500,000 livres. His charities, always magnificent, were not always so ostentatious. He gave away great sums privately, and no tale of real distress ever reached his ears in vain. At this time, he was by far the most influential person of the state. The Duke of Orleans had so much confidence in his sagacity and the success of his plans that he always consulted him upon every matter of moment. He was by no means unduly elevated by his prosperity, but remained the same simple, affable, sensible man that he had shewn himself in adversity. His gallantry, which was always delightful to the fair objects of it, was of a nature so kind, so gentlemanly, so respectful, that not even a lover could have taken offense at it. If upon any occasion he shewed any symptoms of haughtiness, it was to the cringing nobles who lavished their adulation upon him till it became fulsome. He often took pleasure in seeing how long he could make them dance attendance upon him for a single favor. To such of his own countrymen as by chance visited Paris and sought an interview with him, he was on the contrary all politeness and attention. When Archibald Campbell, Earl of Vichy, and afterwards Duke of Argyll, called upon him in the Place Vendôme, he had to pass through an antechamber crowded with persons of the first distinction, all anxious to see the great financier, and have their names put down as first on the list of some new subscription. Law himself was quietly sitting in his library, writing a letter to the gardener at his paternal estate of Lauriston about the planting of some cabbages. The Earl stayed for a considerable time, played a game of piquet, I don't know what piquet is, with his countrymen, and left him charmed with his ease, good sense, and good breeding. Among the nobles who, by means of the public credulity at the time, gained some sufficient to repair their ruined fortunes, may be mentioned the names of Duc de Bourbon, de Guiche, de la Force, de Chaulnes, and d'Antin, and Marshal d'Estrées, the Prince de Rohan de Poix and de Lyon, the Duc de Bourbon, son of Louis XIV, by Madame de Montespan, was particularly fortunate in his speculations in Mississippi paper. He rebuilt the royal residence of Chantilly in a style of unwonted magnificence, and being passionately fond of horses, he erected a range of stables which were long renowned throughout Europe, and imported 150 of the finest racers from England to improve the breed in France. He bought a large extent of country in Picardy, and became possessed of nearly all the valuable lands lying between Oise and the Somme. When fortunes such as this were gained, it is no wonder that Law should have been almost worshipped by the mercurial population. Never was monarch more flattered than he was. All the small poets and literature of the day poured floods of adulation upon him. According to them, he was the savior of the country, the tutelary divinity of France. Wit was all his words, goodness all his looks, and wisdom in all his actions. So great a crowd followed his carriage whenever he went abroad that the regent sent him a troop of horse as his permanent escort to clear the streets before him. My goodness. It was remarked at this time that Paris had never been so full of objects of elegance and luxury. Statues, pictures, and tapestries were imported in great quantities from foreign countries and found a ready market. All those pretty trifles in the way of furniture and ornament, which the French excel in manufacturing, were no longer the exclusive playthings of the aristocracy, but were to be found in abundance in the houses of traders and the middle classes in general. Jewelry of the most costly description was brought to Paris as the most favorable mart. Among the rest, the famous diamond bought by the regent and called by his name, and which long adorned the crown of France, was purchased for the sum of 2,000,000 of livres, under circumstances which shew that the regent was not so great a gainer as some of his subjects by the impetus which trade had received. When diamond was first offered to him, he refused to buy it, although he desired above all things to possess it, alleging as his reason that his duty to the country he governed would not allow him to spend so large a sum of the public money for a mere jewel. This valid and honorable excuse threw all the ladies of the court into alarm, and nothing was heard for some days but expressions of regret that so rare a gem should be allowed to go out of France, no private individual being rich enough to buy it. The regent was continually importuned about it, but all in vain, until the Duc de Saint-Simon, who, with all his ability, was something of a twaddler, undertook the weighty business. His entreaties being seconded by law, the good-natured regent gave his consent, leaving to law's ingenuity to find the means to pay for it. The owner took security for the payment of the sum of 2,000,000 of livres within a stated period, receiving in the meantime the interest of 5% upon that amount, and being allowed, besides, all the valuable clippings of the gem. Saint-Simon, in his Memoirs, relates with no little complacency his share in this transaction. After describing the diamond to be as large as the green gage, of the form nearly round, perfectly white and without flaw, and weighing more than 500 grains, he concludes with a chuckle by telling the world that he takes great credit to himself for having induced the regent to make so illustrious a purchase. In other words, he was proud that he had induced him to sacrifice his duty and buy a bauble for himself at an extraordinary price out of the public money. Okay, I'm going to end here right before page 28. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow. Aloha. Take care. Bye. And thanks for being a fan on Facebook. Share this with your friends and followers. Aloha. And thank you also for being on YouTube. I appreciate you. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the blog. Have a great day. Aloha.